Hello and welcome back to r/entitledparents. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy.
Entitled Mum's brat embarrasses herself in front of everybody. There was this girl in my grade who was the daughter of the vice principal. I'll call her Brat. She would always try to use her mum's position to get what she wanted. If she got a bad grade on her test, she would tell the teacher to change it, or else her mum would fire them. If she ran out of money on her lunch account, she would tell somebody to buy her food for her, or else she would look up their password on her mum's computer and take it herself. Of course, these are things that the vice principal couldn't actually do. But this brat seemed to think her mum was a god, and we all had to bow down to her because they were related. Now, Brat seemed to be terrible at everything. However, with the help of her mum calling in some favours and sweet talking the coach, Brat actually got onto the volleyball team. I was in the photography club and I had worked at a few of the volleyball games. Oh my goodness, I had never seen anybody so uncoordinated and terrible at volleyball. The ball was coming straight towards her and it was impossible to miss, but somehow Brat tripped over her feet and fell onto another team member, knocking her over as well. I took joy in taking pictures of the whole thing. Needless to say, I never saw her on the court again. Now, here's where the story begins. My school is very serious about marching band and show choir. The school's first and only state championship came from band while I was a freshman. And guess who wanted to be on the band now? None other than the Brat. She begged and begged her mum to get the band conductor to let her in, which he eventually did. This was a huge slap in the face to everybody who worked hard to get into the school's elite program. Remember how I said Brat was terrible at everything? Well, that also applied to music. She showed up to the first practice not even knowing what instrument she wanted to play. After looking around for a bit, she decided on a flute, saying, "How hard could it be?" Now, let me tell you something about flutes. They are hard to play, or even just blow into. I play many instruments, and the flute is arguably one of the hardest. If you blow slightly too hard, it could end up sounding like something horrendous. You think this is easy, Brat? Yeah, good luck. The next practice, Brat showed up with a fancy, expensive flute and started bragging about the lessons she had taken. She tried showing off her new skills, but all that came out was a loud screech. Brat always reminded us though, that she had just started and she was going to be better than all of us soon. She struggled through a few more practices and would not stop complaining. This was ironic considering I had heard her make fun of marching band many times before this, and it was her idea to join after all. Weeks later, we finally start working on our show. The direction then announces that there will be a flute solo to open the show, and of course I want it, but I'm not the only one. I'm staying after school one day, practicing the solo, and Brat walks into the room. "Listen OP, you better not try for the solo or else my mum will expel you." I would love to see how that would work. I can just imagine me standing in front of the school board and Brat's mum saying, "This is OP. I would like to permanently ban her for trying out for a solo." I told Brat that there was no way I was quitting, and like her, I actually had to work hard to get into band, and I had always wanted a solo. Brat just stormed off and said, "My mum's gonna kick you out, and I won't be sad one bit." The day for the tryout is around the corner, and I sprain my wrist in some dumb gymnastics project in the gym. I couldn't really hold a flute, and my doctor said it would take a while to heal. So this made me sad because I missed one of the only chances I would ever get to play a solo in band. But then it occurred to me that I didn't even know who else was trying out. Maybe Brat was the only one, and it's not like they would just give it to her when I would be just fine in a week or two. So I decided to show up to the auditorium where people were auditioning for various parts. I took a seat and I noticed Brat's mum and some of the teachers were there. I was in the back row, so nobody noticed me. It was Brat's turn, and she walked on the stage across from the band conductor and some upper class men who would be judging. She put down her music stand and started playing. Once she started, everybody went silent. I don't think awful is a strong enough word to describe it. The judges didn't want to be rude and cover their ears, but I certainly did. When she was done, everyone was silent except for Brat's mum, who stood up and clapped while yelling, "Yes, that's my girl." Brat smiled and turned to the judges and said, "So, do I get a solo?" All of the judges looked at each other and loudly whispered amongst each other. Then they turned to the brat and told her that they had a lot to consider. This infuriated Brat's mum, who walked up to the judges and started yelling, "What do you have to consider? My child was the only one to try out, which means she automatically gets the solo." "I think OP wanted to try out as well. We're gonna pick the winner when she recovers," one of the judges tells Brat's mum. "What? So you're picking someone who's injured over my daughter? This should be a no-brainer." "Come on, Brat's mum. It's only a sprained wrist. It's not like I was going to be in a cast for the rest of my life." Brat leaves the auditorium, her mum following behind her whilst praising her. Before auditions for the next thing started, I went up and told the conductor that I would be healed in about 2 weeks. This worked out okay because it would be in time for the first competition, but however, the band was going to perform at half time for the football game the next week. He was going to consider cutting out the flute solo for that performance or having some other instrument cover it for the time being. Brat's mum heard about this and was livid. She tried threatening, sweet talking, bribing, guilt tripping, and just about every trick in the book to get the conductor to let her child play the solo. Eventually, he let her know just what would happen. I got a front row seat to Brat standing front centre of the football field with a microphone in front of her while she absolutely destroyed the hearing of anyone unfortunate enough to hear it. I even got a recording and kept it for myself. Usually people clap at the end of a solo, but instead it was completely silent. The rest of the band couldn't start playing any faster. The rest of the performance was great, but Brat's terrible opening solo ruined the whole mood. She was shocked. She had no idea why nobody clapped for her. One of the band members walked up to her and said, "I'm just going to put it blunt, you're not good." This caused Brat to break down out into tears in front of the whole crowd. Her mum rushed from the stands and tried to comfort her, and the next day she quit band, so good riddance to her. I eventually got the solo for myself, and everybody was glad that I did. I don't think I could have listened to Brat play the flute one more time even to save my life. After that, this spoiled entitled child was quiet and never made fun of the band ever again. This just goes to show you that your mummy's position and money can buy a lot, but it can't buy talent or a personality. Thanks for reading my story, and if you'd like to hear more stories about Brat or her mother, let me know. My aunt kicks my friend while she's having a seizure. On phone, I'm writing this now after I've cooled down. So, last weekend, I had a friend round, who will be known as Cool Friend for this story. She was round because we hadn't seen each other in 2 years. Now, she had an accident where she had split her head open and had to get staples in it. Her mum was, and still is, abusive. And she started having seizures soon after the staples. She didn't want to come over, but I begged her to because I missed her like hell and wanted to spend the weekend with her. So she came over with almost everything she needed. Almost everything. Now, she had her medicines for her seizures, but also had a nose spray thing for if she had a cluster, back-to-back seizures with no response. She'd only brought one of these. She was supposed to bring 2, but didn't. Also, my aunt was in my area because one of her friends had just had a baby and was having a party for her new baby girl. Note, the friend was a darling and her baby was an angel, but my aunt is a total witch. That's the background sorted. Now this takes place last weekend on Saturday. She got here on Friday and would go home Sunday. We were hanging out and chatting like girls do and just enjoying our time together. Well, I get a call from an unknown number and I'm about to let it ring out because my gut said not to trust it. Then my friend picks it up and answers it. Something she does for me when I'm too far from my phone or busy. She puts it on loudspeaker. I hear my aunt's voice and decide to listen. Entitled Aunt. Hi OP, how have you been? Who answered the phone? Me. Hi Aunt, that's just my cool friend. Entitled Aunt. Oh, okay, well my friend is having a party for her baby and I wanted you to come and celebrate with us. Me, knowing my friend has asthma. Oh, well I would, but my friend is right here and I don't think she'd want to be in a big room full of people. Entitled Aunt, a bit snappy now. Well, I didn't invite her, did I? I invited you. Me. I know, but I can't just leave my friend here without me, that's rude. Entitled Aunt, now whining. But OP. She draws out my name. I need you there. Your cousin will be there and she wants to see you. I roll my eyes. My friend covers the phone speaker. Don't worry, I can go. I have my mask. So I confirm with my friend that she's okay going and tell my aunt I'll go if my friend can come with me. Entitled Aunt. Fine. Just make sure you bring a present. She then hangs up and now I have to text her asking when on earth the party is and where is it. Gives me some extra information, telling me it's a baby girl. So I go upstairs and get an old gift bag that I have. I decide to put a little hand knit diaper bag someone from my baby shower gave me. I never use it because it's too big for me and I kept it in good condition. It would make me super happy if someone else who has kids or is having kids used it. So the party time rolls around and me and my cool friend are driven to the party by my mum and go in with our masks on. There's 2 rooms, one for the adults to talk and hang without their masks and the room where the presents are and the baby. Outside that room, a sign that said, masks mandatory beyond this point. It was standing there in bright red colours. I go over and place my present, then we head over to a table and chill, while a few other kids our age come over. I see my cousin and we go and chat with each other, while my friend assures me she'll be fine at the table. Now, by this point, she had already had 2 seizures at home and a cluster the night before, so she had no more spray. So I'm talking with her and drinking some juice when I hear people screaming. We run over and I see my friend seizing on the ground and people trying to get her onto her back. I cut in and lay her head on my shoulder and turn her on her side while telling everyone to stand back. Then I hear my aunt screeching at me about how my friend is ruining the party by dancing on the floor. I tell her she's seizing and she'll be okay in a moment. This is when my aunt decides she's doing it for attention and then shoves my friend in the stomach with her freaking winter boots on. I start screaming at her to stop and I'm on the verge of tears while shielding my friend. My aunt keeps going and then tries to grab her by the hair while yelling at her to stop being a drama queen. I push my aunt away and tell her to get the freak away. She's not conscious and can't respond. My aunt falls back and then some of the guests grab her while someone calls the police. By this time I see my friend has stopped but isn't responding, so I start to panic and pray this isn't a cluster because she hates the hospital and would be scared if she woke up there. Well, we try to wait it out, but eventually we call an ambulance. When everyone gets there, my aunt is arrested for assault on a disabled person and the paramedics have some nose spray handy for her. They keep everyone separated, but after an hour she was let go now that she was okay and my cousin couldn't stop apologising for her mother to me and my friend. I had to wait days to post this, cause if I didn't, I probably would have gotten into trouble for breaking the rules if I hadn't calmed down, for either the language or the serious shaming that would have been involved. I haven't talked to my aunt since and I don't plan on ever talking to her again. What she did was so stupid and dangerous to my friend's health, and it got her arrested. Sorry for the ranting, but I hope you enjoyed, or at least didn't punch the wall in despair. Also, I didn't proofread this. Okay, So I didn't expect to be updating so soon, but this isn't karmic justice. This is just a few things to answer some people's questions. 1. Yes, I completely cut my aunt out of my life and I do not ever plan on making amends. 2. She is in prison for assault and harassment of a minor and disturbing the peace. She will also be serving community service for a while. 3. Her husband and daughter are now scared to live with her and are staying with my uncle, husband's brother, while he debates divorce. If he does, it's likely he'll get primary custody of my cousin and get to keep the house since she doesn't work. My friend is completely fine besides a new hatred for my aunt. She was wearing 2 very thick coats that absorbed the blow and didn't even know that she was getting hit. My friend did not press charges out of fear and embarrassment despite me trying to convince her. She doesn't live in my area and didn't want her cousin, who she's living with, to have to deal with a legal battle